Welcome to Alaska Weather, a production of Alaska Public Media and the National Weather Service, Alaska Region. Produced and broadcast daily from the studios of KAKM, Alaska Weather provides complete forecasts, public, marine, and aviation for all of Alaska. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
Indie Alaska is an innovative weekly web series capturing the diverse and colorful lifestyle of Alaskans. Real stories of everyday Alaskans at work and play. Supported in part by Alyeska Pipeline Service Company.
The National Weather Service.
Hello everyone, and thanks for joining us for this Monday's edition of Alaska Weather. On yesterday's satellite imagery, we'll see there was a front down in here coming up to the southeast coast, a couple of bands in advance of that, one of which came eastward here along the North Gulf Coast, brought a little bit of shower activity and an increase in the winds yesterday afternoon through some channeled areas of the south central, mostly Kenai Peninsula, Turnagain Arm areas. And then nothing but sun over the interior from the northeast back down into Bristol Bay, at least for most of the day here over Cook Inlet. And then we had this wedge of cloudiness out here to the west that brought a few areas of light snow here to the mostly offshore areas up into the Bering Strait, and that kind of angled back up and around along the Arctic coast. And then back out to the west, we had this pretty formidable looking frontal system, which today has advanced eastward, brought some gale force winds, gusts 40 to 50 miles an hour here across the eastern Aleutians. That's now gone past that area. And Cold Bay, a little gusty on the winds with rain occurring in these areas as well. Starting to pick the winds up here along the southwest coast. Cape Newton, I'm seeing gusts up to about 40 miles an hour, but that's just kind of an isolated case. But there are some breezes beginning to pick up here in advance of this front. This moisture lifting northward for the most part, but there is an upper level trough right through here. And there were showers all the way down to the areas just north of Dillingham and Togiak in the mountains there. Widely isolated showers up to the northeast, extended into the Nome area, had some shower activity. And then areas of light snow, IFR kind of conditions there with low clouds and fog up through the Bering Strait and Point Lacey, a little bit of that, but also areas on the east side as that comes up and over the top of a upper level ridge here over the interior. A couple of troughs coming southward here kind of met up with that band that came to the north, and you'll see right there that's all that's left of it once it's shifted northward. A couple of very weak disturbances coming southward. Brought a little cooler, drier conditions in, but these clouds over the eastern Tanana Valley, over the mountain, like the White Mountain areas back down toward north, are beginning to enhance this afternoon with the afternoon heating. And there could be some isolated showers with that. Showers mostly over the central and southern southeast coastal areas with some areas of good sunshine up to the north with most of that moisture down in this area. And then the rain finally ending there at Kodiak Island, but they're kind of carrying a drizzle condition into the afternoon hours as that next system approaches. It'll be roughly in about this position tonight here. So the rain changing to showers, maybe a little bit of clearing over the eastern Aleutians, nothing too significant. Winds pick up along and mostly south of the chain will be the strongest winds, but there are gale warnings out here for the entire western half of the Aleutians through tomorrow or into tomorrow. But should drop off here right behind the front and then pick back up again with this low center, which is creeping eastward. And then rain and snow Nunivak Island, but doesn't look like much of anything in the way of precipitation is going to reach the coastline. Just look for an increase in those southeast winds, 15 to maybe 30 miles an hour along the coast with some higher gusts like Cape Newton, and then much less inland. This patch of moisture here continuing tonight. From the northwest Noatak Valley areas, maybe Kivalina, down into the Shishmaref area, back out. Could see a few showers, maybe a rain or snow, but all this very light. Same thing on the Arctic coast, very light precipitation, just areas of lower ceilings and reduced visibilities, giving some patchy areas of IFR there. And maybe some very scattered or isolated rain or snow showers later tonight, depending on your elevation here, whether it's in the form of snow or rain. But pretty scattered and isolated, and the showers should end here over the southeast coast, over the southern areas. So fair conditions there, light winds, fair skies here along the North Gulf Coast, clear south central Alaska areas, and even some breaks here over the Copper River Basin. And then still some leftover moisture lingering there around Kodiak Island as that flow becomes now a little more southeasterly. So you lose the easterly flow and that'll become southeast. That's still kind of a damp flow. A lot of moisture out here, low level type moisture off to your southeast, and that'll be tending to come back to the north at you. So tomorrow this front really beginning to weaken, and most of the push is off well to the south. So this portion here stalling out. And again, that's going to keep just about all of, we'll keep all of the significant precipitation, which won't be much tomorrow here, mostly along the Alaska Peninsula and on the southern side of the peninsula, right up to about Nunivak Island, with just some variable cloudiness here over the southeast interior. And those winds in the small craft advisory levels, 25 knots, say, in those marine areas, less just a short ways inland. And we still have this unsettled pattern up here over in the northwest, but again, nothing too heavy. And then a trough or another band of moisture may drop into the eastern Brooks Range area, and then these chances of some afternoon widely scattered light showers here over the Alaska Range, maybe the Wrangells, and also the Coast Range here right along the North Gulf Coast. Otherwise, high pressure, light winds, and no significant storms or precipitation at all here coming in, and just a risk of a shower there over the eastern interior, but all that moisture off into Canada. And then taking a look at Wednesday's forecast, again, this front becoming quite dissipated and thin. In fact, if it was any thinner, it wouldn't even exist. But there is still a very weak boundary here right along the coast, just some remnants of that. Very light wind pattern here over the southwest interior, variable cloudiness, but some pretty good areas of sunshine as well. Northeast Bristol Bay, Pilot Point up to King Salmon, Naknek, those areas up into the south or into the interior of that zone. And then it looks like here over the southeast interior may see a few more clouds and maybe the chances of a few more showers here, especially in the afternoon hours as this upper level high begins to pull back and redevelop back to the west. That's going to allow more of a northerly flow, and a couple of weak disturbances coming southward could kick off a little bit more in the way of clouds and risks of showers. And same pattern up here you've seen along the Arctic coast, but now it looks like the lower stuff will be more to the west, maybe breaking out on the east side. Eastern Alaska Range North Slope looks really good, and even the Koyukuk Valley, all these areas will be mostly sunny again, and at least some sun, partly sunny, although you'll probably notice an increase in the clouds here over the Copper River Basin, maybe even the eastern Tanana Valley as well. And back maybe just a dry day there for Kodiak Island with mostly cloudy skies. Chance of showers now over the northern panhandle, possibly just a risk here, say Elfin Cove, maybe over toward Yakutat, 30 to 40% chance at the most. And a lot of sunshine possible there over the southern southeast coast, but it will be dry. And a couple of lows out here over the Bering Sea, gradually weakening here, but that'll bring some rain and snow showers in the cooler air mass here from the Alaska Peninsula, and more so out over the Aleutians. Winds dropping off, barely even making small craft advisory levels at all out here. Probably right in this area, Adak and Atka may hang on to the 25 knot winds, but definitely lighter winds. You can see the gradient quite separated here across the Fox Islands, even the Alaska Peninsula, and also back to the west, light winds. Next system down here, initially staying off to the south. Temperatures this afternoon along the southeast coast ranged in the mid-40s to mid-50s. 45 at Sitka, 55 up at Juneau, while Wrangell had 46, 48 down at Heidelberg. Along the North Gulf Coast, and some pretty good sunshine here, 54 at Cordova. In fact, all of Prince William Sound sunny today, 46 at Valdez, Yakutat up to 55, 50 in Gulkana, 51 at Talkeetna. These are 3 p.m. readings for this afternoon, which means they may be a little warmer than that at 4 or even 5 o'clock. 54 at the airport in Anchorage, 54 also at Homer. Lower to mid-40s here for Kodiak Island, and mid-50s up in the central and eastern Tanana Valley. 44 back at over at Tanana. Farther up to the north, there's a 37 at Fort Yukon with clear skies, 28 Anaktuvik, and 25 over at Arctic Village. Still in the single numbers and teens along the Arctic coast there. Upper 30s, Kotzebue, Kivalina, but on the north shore here, 25 at Shishmaref, 40 down at Nome with some little bit of shower activity, and 25 out at Gamble with north winds. We're gusting up to 40 miles an hour today. Mid to upper 40s here along the Yukon Delta coast, and a 34 at Tooksuk Bay, but Bethel up to 48 after the fog from this morning. And also McGrath 50 degrees, while it was mostly in the upper 40s here over Bristol Bay in the locations here along the coast, but King Salmon was up to 55. Upper 30s here for the Alaska Peninsula, 37 at Cold Bay and a 36 at Falls Pass, but up to 45 at Dutch Harbor and Unalaska. Mid 30s for the Pribilofs there, with light snow falling the entire day there, and winds east 40 to 45 miles an hour, especially at St. George. Lower to mid 40s, more of a scattered shower condition there, and west-southwest winds for the Adak and Atka locations. For the lows tonight, single numbers here up along the north slope and the Arctic coast. Some areas could drop below zero in these purplish shaded areas there, but into the 20s south of the mountains or along the Brooks Range into the south, with maybe some teens here off to the east and the drier air there where the winds go calm and less cloudiness. Upper 20s to lower 30s over the much of the interior to upper 30s here over the southwest zones, and south central generally staying on the plus side of freezing here in most areas, and for the southeast coast, 30s. For the highs tomorrow, much like today, back well into the 50s here over south central Alaska and up into the Tanana Valley. Possibly a little cooler here over the Copper River Basin, upper 40s, and 50 to 55 for all of the southeast coast, and along the Brooks Range, upper 20s to lower 30s, into the north slope, cooler, but still approaching 20 there along the Arctic coast, and 30s here in the northwest. Staying below freezing though, probably from Shishmaref around to Tin City into St. Lawrence Island, upper 30s for the Pribilofs. And for flying weather, good VFR day again here. Most areas, just where we have that moisture up here to the northwest and along the eastern Arctic coast. Could be some areas IFR in there as well, but it looks like good VFR here. Again, most of the moisture with that front is going to get stalled off the coast, so some IFR possible here along the Alaska Peninsula on the Bering Sea side. And looks like most of the IFR will be from the Pribilofs up across the northern Bering Sea. A lot of marginal VFR, but with some breaks here in the more showery activity coming around that low pressure area as it moves eastward. Anaktuvik, all the passes look VFR once again tomorrow, both Adigan and Anaktuvik VFR. Lake Clark and Merrill, west, east entrance, VFR, same forecast for rainy. Very nice again for windy, light winds and VFR. Isabel, same forecast, no change for Tanita as well as Mentasta. And for Portage, good VFR, Chilkoot VFR. And the freezing levels, 2,000 feet plus right in here with the upper level ridge, kind of building back to the west a little bit there. And then still a cool pool aloft here off the southeast coast, so that's kind of pulled that back to Kodiak, and then the push of warmer air ahead of that weakening frontal boundary here with 2,000 feet up right along the southwest coast. Icing threats, just a narrowing band of possible rime icing with that weakening weather front. Again, that's going to get stalled right in this area probably for tomorrow night, and then be pretty well dissipated on Wednesday. Patchy stuff up here over the northwest, and then areas of icing out here over the Aleutians and the Bering Sea. High pressure here over the interior once again tomorrow, but starting to see another center develop back here to the west. So this weak impulse coming over the top again on Wednesday may start to drop down and start a trend here for later in the week, but nothing significant in the way that changes. The main jet's going to stay to the south all week long, so no big storms at all except possibly grazing the Aleutians. And then for the 9,000 foot winds, 25 to 40 knots here with the strongest winds over the Alaska Peninsula, much lighter and more variable, but still sort of easterly even over the eastern interior. Strongest west winds south of the Aleutians, as well as at 3,000 feet, could still see 40 to 45 knots there right in advance of that front here, but off the southwest coast. Light variable winds over the interior, and then northwest up to 40 knots there for the western half of the Aleutians. They're actually west of Adak, and could be moderate chop here depending on how far inland those winds go, but definitely the Kilberg Mountains and through this area, lighter turbulence, and then something of an increase there associated with the main low center, but that'll be mostly along and south of the Aleutians. And after the break, hang or flying, I'll be back with the marine forecasts.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Mary O'Connor, filling in for Harry Keeling. I'm the Secretary of the Board of Directors of the Alaskan Aviation Safety Foundation, and we would like to encourage everyone to support the Safety Foundation by becoming a member. Your dues help us to sponsor seminars like the Spring Seaplane Seminar, which we're going to be talking about. This evening, we are pleased to have on our show Dean Eichholz, who has been busy planning and organizing the Alaskan Aviation Safety Foundation's Seaplane Seminar. Welcome, Dean.
Thank you.
This is the 29th Seaplane Seminar sponsored by the Alaskan Aviation Safety Foundation. That's quite a history. Can you tell us a little bit about the seminar?
Yes, the seminar's going to be held at the Tom Wardley hangar there at Lake Hood, as it has been for several years here in the past. And it's going to be on the 26th of April. And it's doors will open at 8 o'clock in the morning, and we'll have the entire day until 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Sessions will start at, the speakers will start at 8:30, and we'll have a break for lunch.
So people can stay on site for lunch. Will it be provided?
Lunch will be provided. The UAA's aviation fraternity, they put together a nice luncheon, and they do that as a donation, help some of their organization on what they're putting together as well. So it's really a good time to be able to everybody get together and visit friends that you haven't seen and make new ones. Always try to bring somebody new with you when you show up to the seminar.
And what can we look forward to hearing about at the seminar?
Well, starting off the morning there, we'll have a maintenance panel, and we're going to have a maintenance A&P and IA, as well as an avionics tech this year, answering questions and trying to get everybody to take a good look at their airplane, since we had so much rain and wind over the winter. After that, we have somebody going to speak about angle of attack, something that's changed with the FAA as they've liberalized add an angle of attack indicators to the airplanes. And on that, we're going to discuss a little bit about what is angle of attack with the airplane and how this works and how it can benefit you on the airplane and provide you more safety and performance out of your airplane. After that discussion, then we'll have somebody from the DNR that's going to discuss some of these evasive plants that have been taking hold around the state, and some things that maybe we can do to help out to try to mitigate this before it gets out of hand. Then we're going to have break for lunch, and in the afternoon we have a maintenance or a aviation discussion that's going to involve the audience. We're going to be able to talk about some different what-if situations when in flying floats, and what may be the proper action to take on that part.
That was really popular during the fall seminar. I remember the audience had clicker devices that they could use to vote for their choices, and it was really enlightening to see what actions some people would take. So I would expect that would be a great learning opportunity for people.
Yeah, and you know, one of the things that I've tried to always do with the seminar is involve the audience, and that's usually not hard. There's plenty of people that have opinions of flying, and it's a very good time to be able to have some discussions of which may be a better idea, and just increase of our awareness before we get out there and start flying the floats. To end the day there, we have somebody from Flight Service that's going to do a presentation about some of the changes that's gone on with the Flight Service Station. And, you know, some of the new technology now allows us to take the search out of the search and rescue. And so it's important stuff to learn about that as well. And we're going to try to finish the day with a little bit of an update on that communication issues that's been going on in the Mat-Su Valley, because the end of May they're actually going to change some of the frequencies and really need to get that information out to everybody.
So that's a great opportunity to get updated on some changes that are going to be happening, as well as some refreshers from maybe people that haven't flown so much over the winter before they get out on their floats, like you say.
Absolutely, and it's not just for float pilots. I mean, bring any pilot that you know, or if you're in the area or can make time to get into the area and go to that. It's a lot of fun, whether you're flying wheels or floats. A lot of the information pertains to you. It's a really fun day and good time to meet new people, and there are several different booths to get a lot of information on some of the things that we discuss there as well. A lot of good door prizes, so that always is worthwhile of getting there. And emphasize that the price is right, it's free. And so try to make it there. I know that people fly in from all over the area there to go to it. So airplanes to look at around there too at the same time.
Great. It's a great location to help get people inspired to do some float flying right there on the lake. So people don't need to register. They can just show up with a friend.
You can show up with a friend and register right there. And if you are in the Wings program right now, you'll probably be getting an email about the seminar, and you can register online as well with the Wings program. So it does give you credit for that as well. And, you know, great time to learn a lot. So.
Well, thank you, Dean. We look forward to the Seaplane Seminar and getting some good safety tips before we start our summer flying season. You can get a refresher on things that you already knew, learn some new information, and see old friends like Dean mentioned. So please join us on Saturday, April 26th. Thank you, Dean.
Thank you.
Until next time, fly safely.
Welcome back. Well, mostly light to westerly winds, 10 to 15 knots here over the inside waters, and barely a northwest breeze out along the coastline, and that more or less holds through Wednesday as well. Could go south in the afternoon of 15, otherwise no significant changes or much any change that you'll notice here. Staying light, variable to northwest out along the coast. For the North Gulf Coast, light winds there as well, 10 to 15 knots from the east, and variable for Prince William Sound. Possibly could see southeast to 20 in the afternoon coming out of Turnagain Arm, but light and variable elsewhere for Cook Inlet to easterly at 15 here from the Barren Islands, Kamishak Bay. Could kick up to 20 knots, especially here on the east side of Kodiak Island. Otherwise, definitely staying below advisory and certainly warning levels. And then really light winds in store for Wednesday here, variable for Shelikof Strait, and 15 knots here for the east side of Kodiak Island. Variable here for all of the North Gulf Coast at 10 knots. Light winds becoming southwest, maybe at 10 knots. Kind of an area of high pressure here, so that'll tend to circulate a light breeze up Cook Inlet from the southwest. And for Bristol Bay, 25-knot winds along the weakening frontal boundary there, or in advance of it a short distance, dropping back to roughly 20 knots from the southeast here for the Alaska Peninsula. And then on Wednesday, 15 to 20 knots here for the peninsula areas, and light southeast coming down to 15 knots for Bristol Bay, and actually south or variable 10 to 15 knots southwest of Kodiak. For the eastern Aleutians, small craft advisories here for the entire Fox Island area from the southeast, 20 knots from the west here, and then the gale force winds continuing through tomorrow here for the western Aleutians, 35 knots with the highest seas. And then those will begin to come down a little bit, but probably hold on to the small craft advisories here over the central Aleutians at low just north of the Adak and Atka areas, with enough of a gradient there to keep it pretty breezy with some passing showers, but lighter to the west and much lighter, coming down to 10 to 15 knots there for the Fox Islands. Along the southwest coast, 25-knot winds, of course higher gusts in the exposed areas here, but nothing any higher than this, and then trending downward late in the afternoon and probably losing the small craft advisories tomorrow night. Northeast 20, St. Lawrence Island, still could see higher gusts at Gamble. Southeast coming down to 20 knots for the Pribilofs. Then a light east wind in store for you on Wednesday. East winds here across the northern Bering Sea, southeast at about 20 there, and that stretch from Cape Newinam up to Nunivak Island. And the Arctic coast could still see early in the day tomorrow, easterlies at about 25 knots there around Kaktovik, and then east 15 to about the central coast. Very light winds northeast becoming north to just variable there over the eastern Chukchi Sea. And the outlook for Wednesday, not much change. Pretty light winds, again 5 to 10 knots here on the western coast. More of a northeast direction though, but still light, and maybe up to 15 knots. Could be less there even toward Kaktovik and those areas. For tonight, again, this persistent area of cloudiness with some embedded light snow flurries, fog in this area from the northwest here all the way back to St. Lawrence Island. This front weakening, spreading rain into the Alaska Peninsula along with the small craft advisories, and then the gales again back out here where there's much more gradient and showery conditions, but light winds for the southeast coast, isolated showers, mostly just some variable clouds coming in. And that same sort of pattern tomorrow. Again, a lot of sunshine over the interior from the North Gulf Coast all the way up into the North Slope, and a risk of a shower over portions of the Panhandle. Otherwise dry. Showers for the eastern Aleutians. A very weak front here on Wednesday dissipates to about this, practically nothing at all. And still a lot of sunshine over the interior, but maybe an increase in the shower activity over the southeast quarter. Have a great evening.
These forecasts are to be used for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.